Alright, I am here. I said I would be, but I'm not gonna have as much time as I'd like to have today because I do have to go to work, but I can at least faff with another shelf. So, hey, something's better than nothing, right? Okay, I believe. Yep, everything seems to be set up okay. Cool. Alright, crack on, I guess. Not not particularly exciting today. More shelves, but yeah. Again, it's better than not doing anything. So I'll roll with that. I'll also roll with the absolute state of my setup, but there you go. Whatevs, I guess. I have another shelf. Hadn't intended to use this one, because I wasn't super stoked with how the edge came out, because this was like the trial one. Um, but now that I'm redoing another wall, I kind of need more shelves. So I'll be doing this one, and I will have to eventually bring out the belt sander. Not at this time in the morning. It'd be insane. But I will eventually need to get the belt sander on this, because this is how all the shelves looked originally. Um, they served a purpose. They were never particularly nice. So I don't know how well you can see with the light on it, but they were never particularly smooth. And that always bothered me, but I didn't do anything about it at the time, because I didn't really need to. I'm gonna move that down slightly, because I'm conscious that it's kind of in my mouth at the minute. Right. Yeah, I didn't really need to make them look that nice because of where they were positioned in my room, so it was just kind of like, whatever. But now that I'm going with a different theme, I kind of need to do everything properly, you know? Where did I leave the brush? This one. This was the one I was using. Okay. It's a little funky, but it's not gonna matter, if I'm honest. How long have I got this morning? About an hour and a half. Right, it's not gonna take me that to stick some stain on this. So I'll have to see what else I might be able to get on with. Should probably also stick some gloves on, or my hands turn purple. I do have a heater on in here. Over there. But I myself don't feel cold. My hands, on the other hand, are not having a fun time. So I need to try and strike a balance with this, really. Right. Okay. I will eventually sort out music for the stream. I just didn't have time to look at it this morning. Or yesterday, really. Not really. But I do intend to get everything sort of organized a bit better. At the minute, it's very much just been a case of, do I have time? Enough. Just whacking everything on and trying to get something done. But I'll finesse it. I will finesse it. Finding the time is just super awkward. Because my work shifts are difficult to kind of plan stuff around. And then weekends are inconsistent, weekdays are inconsistent. So in terms of scheduling stuff, kind of a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. How do I play this? Try and avoid it, I guess. Because all the other shelves, I'd done the edges after I'd done the darker stain. So if I can just avoid making a mess of the edges, I won't have to go back over it later. That's a big ol' if. In fairness, I'm pretty careful. Usually. Well, I kinda walk the line. Like, my methods are a little slapdash, but the execution tends to be pretty slick, so I get away with it. And no, it's one of those, like, I enjoy... I'm a being of two halves. One half enjoys sensibility and order and planning and just kind of things that make sense. And then the other half loves impulse and random nonsense and just chaos. Revels genuinely in the chaos. And trying to find an in between, actually. Because you'd think it's like, okay, well, if they're the two extremes, then somewhere in the middle is going to be a reasonably sensible human being. No. No, that's not how that works. Because rather than having a reasonable middle ground, you just kind of end up doing both. So neither side ends up okay with what happens. And you just kind of end up, rather than being like, oh, okay, well, I can do this rather chaotic thing that I've decided I want to do. But I'll plan around it and be sort of sensible with it. No, no, instead you just kind of end up jumping into stuff, winging it, but screaming internally the whole time. Or, like with my bigger projects, I'll go into it very strict around how much I need to plan stuff and how long I need to think about things for before I try and do stuff. And then I'm still screaming internally. So it's just, the screaming never ends. Not really. It's pretty constant. You just kind of get used to it. It's, at this point, fairly used to it. And I'm fairly accustomed to the fact that, like, I don't know, it sounds kind of sad, but like I'll just never be happy with the way I approach stuff. Something will always upset me, and I'll always be thinking there's something that I could be doing instead, or I could be doing better. But it reaches a point where I kind of just have to be rational with it and just look at it and go, okay, fine, but at least it exists. And that's what streaming has been. At least it exists. Oh, but I should have sorted out background music and overlays for crediting people on the music I'm using. Yeah, but at least I'm doing something. And I will absolutely forget, like, because I'm so not used to rambling while I do stuff. I will totally forget what I have and haven't covered. So I will repeat myself constantly, and I can only apologize for that because I will not remember what I've been over. But like, I'm pretty sure I've covered the whole best is the enemy of better thing. That's super real, and that's something that I'm super kind of conscious of at this point. It's like, okay, yeah, I could have done X, Y, Z in a better way, but if I'm constantly aiming to do the absolute best that can possibly happen, then I just won't do anything because I'll always be waiting. And that's just a colossal waste of time. I could be spending actually doing the things. So at least I'm here. Although I'm a lot later today than I'd planned to be. But that comes back to the whole time agnosia thing. Like, my perception of time does not exist. I have to have alarms to remind me about various things and stuff. Though I do need to change the alarm tone that I have set, because so many people have that as like their default ringtone on their phones, and every time some random person on the bus or a train gets a phone call, I freak out. I just panic, and it's like, what have I forgotten? Nothing. It's that it's and it's one of those, like, it's not even that big a deal, but it's just because it's the minor inconvenience. Things like that really annoy me. Things that are small enough to be pretty unimportant, big enough to be annoying. So it just ends up like one of those I can't justify being as angry about this as I am sort of situations. It just makes it that little bit more maddening. It's like I'd rather it was a bigger deal so I could justify being upset about it, but it isn't. I can't. So, oh well, I guess. I need to sand the edges of this as well. The very sort of the shorter edges. I was gonna say top and bottom, but that doesn't really help. So, let's point it out. Because they're still mostly black. They require power tools. And at 3 in the morning, probably not an amazing shout, to be honest. As far as like a schedule goes for stuff like this, I will figure something out. At the minute, I'm just doing stuff and seeing what sticks. But I have a plan. I do have a game plan, and I'm hoping to make it a little more consistent than it currently is. But it's a trial and error thing, and once I have something more kind of solid, then I will definitely be making note of that in a more formal capacity. Because it also then holds me to a schedule, which I require. I require external accountability for scheduling and such. Because I'm a pretty driven entity. Like, I can motivate myself to do stuff, for sure. But when it comes to timings and routines and scheduling, nah, nah, I fall flat on my face. And I need other eyes on me to hold me to stuff, especially projects. Because I love thinking about projects and planning projects and generally starting projects. But finishing stuff, eh, markedly less interested. Where's my drink? It's over there. Markedly less interested. Also, when I'm streaming this early in the morning, Fun fact. Um, it's not it's not particularly long after I've taken my ADHD meds. And for those of you that also take meds, you may be aware that one of the side effects is that you can get pretty horrendous headaches. So I found the best method of staving those off is to just drink a ridiculous amount of water. But that does then come with its own problems. So you'll find that when I'm doing things like this super early in the morning, I will duck out pretty frequently to go and get more water, etc. Because I have to. It's the only thing I found that actually stops it. Because initially it was like, oh, okay, whatever, I'll just take some painkillers. They don't even touch it. They don't come anywhere close to touching it, which is nuts because I don't take painkillers. So it's not like I'm just used to doing it. I will avoid taking meds always with anything ever, wherever I can help it. I just don't enjoy the concept. And I also really, really struggle swallowing pills. So if I can just not, that is always the preference. But yeah, first thing in the morning, you'll have to bear with me. I'll be in and out pretty frequently. Later on in the day, much less of an issue. But to start with, quite prevalent. I should be able to get a couple of coats on this before I have to go anywhere. I think. I hope. The thing that I found with this is that you have to do it in little patches. Because if you just dump a load on there and try to spread it out, it's wood stain, it's not paint. So it just drinks it in that one spot, and then that one spot ends up way darker than anywhere else. So yeah, this is the best method I've found for getting things to be vaguely even. Of course, it doesn't need to be particularly perfect, because stuff is going on top of these shelves anyway. But I have standards, and I don't think it's a bad thing to want to do things properly. I do think that there's a degree to which it matters, and that you should be kind of selective over where you're spending your effort and your time. And that's something I'm also bad at. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at kind of gauging situations and the degree to which things actually matter. Historically, that's always been why my cosplay stuff takes such a stupidly long time, because I'm obscenely picky. Really, I should have been looking at competing with my stuff way sooner than I have, because there's a lot of extra detail and bits and pieces and extra effort that most people aren't gonna realize or really appreciate or, yeah, notice, which is completely fair. Like, I you know, realistically, I cosplay for me. So the details I put into stuff is for my own gratification. And that's the way it should be. Always. With anything, really. Anything that you do or you invest your time in should be to your benefit, you know? Ultimately, it should be. 'Cause otherwise, why do it? Realistically, that extends to things like work, right? Because you can say, "Oh, I don't like my job, and the hours suck, the people suck, the work sucks." But then you look at it and go, "Okay, well, why are you there?" Because it gives you money, which you can then put into the things you do enjoy. So even stuff that sucks should benefit you in some capacity. Having said that, if your job does suck and you hate it, there will be other things you can do. It's not necessarily hacking your job in and jumping straight into creative endeavors, because I'd love to do that. But it can definitely be running things alongside, at least for a while, testing the water, seeing how things go. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's kind of where I'm at, really. It's just testing things out, throwing things at the wall, seeing what sticks. Because really, you're not risking anything that way, you know? I think it's important to be sensible with things like this, because it's very, very easy to get lost in the sauce and look at things and go, you've only got one life, so why not? And I agree. I totally, totally agree. But I also think that if you want to make it sustainable, you need to be sensible about it. It sucks, but it helps in the long run because it means that actually what you want to do can then be viable. And that's huge. Um, I'm going to duck out briefly to go and get more water. So bear with, I shan't be too long. Okay, sorted. Back. Cool, cool. Alright. Reinstate the gloves. Because it is cold outside. And my hands like to split. Let me whack the heater up a little bit as well. Right. This, then, should be fine to just flip. Right. As far as it being dusty, it's a little bit. Not too bad, though. Not too bad. And I turned this light off. Because when I had it on, the feed for the Keo was weird. I wonder if it still will be. Oh, I don't know. Seems alright, actually. Fair enough. Yeah, okay, fine. I'll keep an eye on it, though, and if it goes weird, I'll turn that light off again. So it might... I assumed it was just the light itself was being weird. But if it's fine, it's fine. Ugh. Right. The heater is definitely on and up, so it's fine. Okay. I'm thinking I'm probably going to need to get more of this. To be honest. Don't have a whole lot left. Then I wasn't really planning to do all of the shelves. I definitely sanded this side. Sure. Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Just because these gloves are annoyingly fluffy. And they get caught on literally everything. But also, they're reasonably thick, and they stop my hands from dying, so fine. All fine and all good. Trying to think what else I can get done in these sorts of times in the mornings. Because there's no... he says, I shouldn't need to do much with this shelf tomorrow. If I can get a couple of coats of the stain on each side today, then it's just varnish, and that takes seconds. So I need to think what I can do tomorrow morning. I suppose I could do more cosplay research. That is a possibility. It's doable. I just prefer to do physical things. Just generally, you know. But I can't do much this time in the morning in the house. For obvious reasons. So, as far as doing stuff to my bedroom, not really. During the day, yeah, sure, go nuts. But, yeah. Can't be doing a whole lot. Especially not talking. So it's just easier to be out here. Where there are no real constraints. Other than not using power tools, which I think is pretty fair, to be honest. I'm at peace with that one, I can understand that. There's that thing I need to make for a friend. That is still on my list. probably do that. Had a few ideas around how I could make that. Just have to see what I've got kicking about. But then I've also got random little sewing bits and pieces, and then again the sanding for those 3D prints. But there are constraints to both of those. Sewing machines are loud, and sanding requires either the extractor or a respirator, and I don't know whether the mic will be happy with me if I'm in a respirator. So it's one of those. Extractor's the ideal, and the extractor's not super loud. It's just where I can then feed the pipe, because I can't really have the garage door open at stupid o'clock in the morning. Because you'd be surprised what you invite in when you do that. I've had little door mice kicking about in here before when I've been around at stupid o'clock, which is great because they're adorable, but also I then panic about them getting stuck in here. So had to kind of coax them out and shoo them off, which is just extra faff. Like I don't need that. Also had a cat in here once. That was interesting. But at least, cat finds its way out pretty easily. So I just kind of looked like, oh, hi there, I guess. Sure, you come hang out. But again, if I've got time constraints, like needing to go to work, then it's just additional faff that I really don't have the time to deal with. But I reckon I can repurpose something and use it as like a dust bag, like you'd have on a sander. I reckon I can instate something to that effect. Is there? I've got like gym bags kicking about, old gym bags. I can just feed the pipe into one of those, zip it up, and then wrap something around where the tube and the zip meets, just to avoid getting fine particles of crud everywhere. Because I am reasonably lung conscious. You know, things like respirators and what have you. Yeah, pretty stifling, and they get pretty icky if you wear them for a long time. But I'd rather be a little bit uncomfortable and continue to be able to do this kind of thing than to shorten my lifespan. Like, for me, that's just a no-brainer. Like, there's enough out there in the world that can kill you without you trying to help it. Without coming across as a massive neek. Safety is cool. No, it's cool and hip to be sensible. Like, there's nothing cool about not wearing the right PPE for jobs that you're doing. Then I suppose I have a bit of a bias because I am the health and safety rep at work as well. And I do spend a lot of my time picking people up on stuff. But it is things like using extractors and wearing safety glasses and steel toe caps, etc. Like it's for your own protection. But I'm always particularly fussy around extractors because your lungs are one of those things you don't you're not super conscious of. Like eyes, yeah, you think about your eyes, and steels, sure, you think about steels, but lungs just something people don't tend to consider. So I'm always in a mask just because I'm paranoid. I don't think that's a bad thing in that kind of context. Yes, you can definitely be overcautious, and you should always be rational around what you choose to kind of implement. But I'd rather be excessively safe than not safe enough. I see no harm in that. It just applies to most things, to be honest. But I don't know. I am a bit of a neek around that kind of stuff. Like there are points where I do things that I don't have to do. Like if I want to cross the street and I'm at a crossing and there are traffic lights, even if I don't see anything coming, I will still use the lights. Like stuff like that just bothers me. Like if it's there and it's that little bit of extra, you know, I won't say safety because things can still happen. I feel better doing it, and that stuff like that. Okay, yeah, that's actually borderline irrational. But if I'm already there, like, what harm does it do? Cost me an extra couple of seconds just to feel a little bit more secure. And I always make a point of doing stuff like that when I'm around kids because I think it's important. So when I'm out and about, I'm a shocker. I'm a fairly obvious entity. So I always assume that kids in particular are going to be watching me. So I want to make sure that I'm instilling kind of the best practices in children, civilly, because there are a lot of times now where I'll be waiting at a crossing and there'll be kids with their parents, and the parents will sort of look sheepishly around a corner and then drag the kids over. And I just think, why? Why? Why would you want to run that risk when you can press a light, wait for a little bit, and then be way safer? I'm not going to say you'll be completely safe because there's always the possibility that someone will run the light. But you are way less likely to run into any trouble if you use the crossing for its purpose. And then I just look at that and think, okay, great. So what are you teaching your kids, really? It's the little things that matter. And kids' brains are sponges. They just absorb everything they're exposed to. So I just figure, hey, If I assume I'm being observed, and I'm observed to be doing something sensible, maybe I can have a passive influence. And that's not to, like, give myself more importance than I actually have. It's purely as a, on the off chance I could do some good, I would like to. And there's no skin off my nose, because it's what I would rather be doing as well. I don't know. I think it's one of those things. I definitely deep it, but I just look at it and think, that's so telling, you know, so telling. There was one specific case that to this day bothers me to an extent that is pretty unreasonable, but it's I still think about it quite a lot. And I was up in London with a friend to go see Beast in Black, which was awesome, by the way. Like, I cannot recommend seeing them live enough. They were fantastic. I've seen them twice now. They're the only band I've seen twice live. But yeah, was up in London with a mate, and we were just hanging out outside the venue, just kind of. We got there a little early, so we were just, having a coffee and a snack and just vibing for a bit. And there was a zebra crossing, about what, maybe 30 odd feet away from where we were at. And there was a dad and presumably his kid, more or less next to us, right? And rather than walk the extra few feet down to this crossing, they crossed this super busy road. Like, when I say super busy, I mean, like, they had to cross to the middle and then wait and then cross a little bit more. There were no islands there or anything. And they crossed next to us rather than walking a little bit further down to this crossing. And then when they got to the other side of the road, they were walking in the direction of the crossing anyway. Like, okay, yeah, I appreciate I come across as a turbo nerd for being annoyed about this, but also, why? Why do it like that? If you're going that way anyway, just use the crossing. Like, it's just stupid and reckless for no reason. It doesn't need to be like that. Why would you put your kid in danger for no justifiable reason? Like, it wouldn't have been justifiable anyway, but then it was just extra nonsensical. You're already going in that direction, so what are you actually losing by using the crossing? Don't get it. I don't get it. I will never get it. And I kicked off about it to my mate at the time. It's just genuinely maddening. And I will never understand. Not ever. I balance this like that? Probably not, right? Probably not. Oh well. I'll leave that for a second. What's the time? Okay, getting on for 4, which sucks. As I ought to leave around 4:30, realistically. I also need to try and scout about in here some garden wire. I need some for an unrelated project. And I had a bunch at one point, because I'd used it for King Crimson. But I have no idea where it's gone. And because this isn't my space, I don't know where it would be kept. I only know where my stuff is because it's isolated to this bench. So beyond that, I genuinely have no idea. Yeah. Not too bad, to be fair. Not too bad. Alright. I reckon I go and refill my drink again. And then I come back and do the second coat on that side. So bear with, won't be long. Okay, I'm back. Oh, okay. Right. Refocused. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Right. How long have I got? 51. Let's say I can definitely get a couple of coats down before I have to leave. And then I'll just leave everything mostly set up in here. I have to take my laptop back indoors because I worry about leaving it out in the cold. But I can leave most things set up, I reckon. I reckon. I just kick the heater and such down to this end of the garage. Don't think it's going to bother anyone. Should be fine. It's the only trouble with starting work so early. It puts a limit on how long I can be out here for regularly, you know. Because on my days off, fine, I can be messing around for however long. That's whatever. But yeah, not so much on work days. Oh well. It is what it is, so I'm told. At least I'm able to make the time for this, you know? Because I hadn't been. I hadn't been for, well, ever. This time had always been time that I'd devoted exclusively to going to the gym. But because I don't get much other time, it's been driving me mad. So this is an experiment. Just to see whether it kind of, helps my brain out a little bit. I love stuff like this. You know, not just because it's obscenely mellow, but like just being practical and physical and making stuff. And I don't know whether this counts particularly because I didn't like make the shelves. Although, I don't know. It depends. It depends how you want to look at it, I suppose. Because the shelves were very, very different to start with to how they end up. But I also wouldn't say that like I made them because I don't know. It's like, okay, I didn't chop down the tree and make the planks. Okay, cool. But I also didn't make the foam that I used for King Crimson or spin the yarn that I used to sew Wave Mother. Like, where do you draw the line? You know, that's something I've always been bad at. Is knowing where credit is due because it's easy for other people. Like I can look at stuff other people do and go, yeah, that's great, that's huge, I love that, that's super cool of you. But if I did it, it'd be, well. And I'm super bad at like just accepting compliments from people about anything. Like in the moment, I'll roll with it, but I don't I don't agree. I won't contest things when people do say them, but it's not something that I'll feel for myself, you know? I kind of just have to take it as like okay, well I can't refute what they're saying because I'm not them. And if they are enjoying something, then that is their reality and that is true. I have no control over that. So I have to accept it from their perspective. But it's not a reciprocal thing. Like, I won't feel the same way. I'll be flattered that they'll think a thing, but I won't then have that. I won't take that as a true reflection on what I've done, I guess. I don't know. It sucks. It sucks to overthink to that extent. But I do. And it comes back to that whole, on the one hand, I'm super picky and super driven and pretty relentless, and it tends to yield pretty good results. Like, I can accept that much. But on the other hand, it does mean that I never stop to appreciate stuff. And that's not saying that I'm not grateful for things, because I absolutely am. I just always end up thinking or feeling like I don't really deserve that. I don't know. It's something that I'm aware of, and I know that I do, and I do actively try to, like, shut it out where I can and just take things at face value. It's hard. It's hard, and it's a conscious thing that I have to do. So it's nice to have people around that enjoy what I get up to. I just need to kind of work on having one of those people be me, you know? 'Cause I love the process. Love the process. Live for the process. It's everything that I want to be doing with my time and with my life. But then the outcome is great, but I just never, I could always do better. There could always have been something else that I could have improved on. And that's great as a driving force behind improving how I work and what I produce, but also it's extremely toxic and makes it difficult to enjoy the culmination of a load of time and effort and, more often than not, expense. But I think a lot of people are guilty of that in creative spheres, because it's one of those things, like, with something like, I don't know, maths. There are typically pretty clear indicators of what is correct, right? And what is good. And it's reasonably easy to quantify everything, because everything has a static value for the most part. But when you get into things that are creative, there is no metric for gauging that. There is no way to grade your success beyond, realistically, what it should be is how you feel about it. But I try not to look at it like that, because that then relies on me feeling good about stuff to then deem it successful. And because that doesn't really happen, I have to find other ways to value what I'm doing. And that gets tricky, because as much as I don't consciously care a whole bunch about what other people think of stuff. Particularly when it comes to cosplay, I kind of have to. Because otherwise, I just wouldn't get enough out of it in terms of end result satisfaction. Because I get a bunch of, like, process satisfaction. Figuring stuff out and making things work. That, yeah, absolutely. I get a ton of satisfaction from that. But by the time it's finished, it's just kind of like, okay, well, done that. Now what? That's why I've started forcing myself to reuse cosplays and to wear the same things more, wear stuff more than once, because I need to stop and appreciate things. It's important to stop and appreciate things. Definitely don't do it enough. Now, do I want to bother with this edge? Because no one's going to see it. It's up against a wall. I don't have a lot of wood stain left. So maybe I take that as a good reason to not, you know? Maybe that's how I play that. That's not the worst, but also I can always sound it later. It's fine. Fine, it has to be fine. I don't have time to make it more fine. Not really. That is good enough for now. Occurs to me, I'm bringing it away from the camera. My bad. Yeah, good enough for now. By the time it's dried, it'll be fine. So, let's mess with this. Again, try and be vaguely camera conscious. Because I do forget. This is going to be a really brief stream. Jeez. Again, my perception of time, really bad. So I thought I was going to be able to, like, wake up, set all of this up, eat something, take my meds, etc., and then get out here within, like, an hour. Incorrect. And I should have thought about it better than I did. But now I kind of have a better idea what I'm working with. So tomorrow I can get up earlier, dang it. Or I can at least have things set up further in advance. You know? I've got plans. I've got plans. I should be able to make things work. A lot of trial and error with this at the minute. As I say, it would be a lot easier if I didn't have to think about work when it comes to timing. But also, like, I have to do it. Well, I'd say it. things like this I have to do on work days. Otherwise, I just wouldn't be doing this enough. Like, there's no way. Especially for, like, the little bits and pieces like this. Because on days off, it's like, no, I need to be spending that time on the big things. Things that take the time. Though I might end up having to resort to just doing more research-based stuff tomorrow morning for my cosplay. Because I keep putting it off because it's boring to watch, but it's also extremely necessary. There's a little spider on here. I'm trying not to squish. I think I might just need to move him before he ends up attached to the plank. Let's see if I can find him. Where'd he go? Oh, he's on the plank. There's a surprise to absolutely no one. Come on, friend. Come on. No, this way. Just hop on the thing. Stop going around the thing. I'm trying to help you. Jeez, okay. Let's try something else. Ooh, slip of sandpaper. Go on. Come on. Come on. My guy, you're wasting my time right now. Stop. Just get on the thing. Get on the thing. There we go. Okay. Better not be on my glove, sir. Oh, you are. Listen, my guy. I need you to not be here, okay? Ah. Jeez. I don't like hurting bugs. It's always bothered me as a thing. You know, when people are like, ugh, spider, squish. No, stop. Why? Why would you do that? There's no reason to do that. Even with the big spiders, because I hate spiders. The little ones, fine, I can deal with, but like, even vaguely big spiders, hard nope. But even then, it's like, no, I don't want to kill you. I just want you to not be in my vicinity. So I will always endeavor to remove bugs humanely and release them back outside. Especially the little ones, because it's like, well, you know, how difficult is that? Not. And they're not bothering me a whole bunch, so it's fine. Yeah, very difficult for big things, but I will always try to just remove them. I think especially if I'm like out in the garage, because that's basically their house at that point. Like I am not You know, I'm in your space, you're not in my space. I'm a guest here. You know? In my bedroom, different. That's my space. You're not paying rent. You need to leave. But out here, it's just like, I expect this. This is fair enough. But also, I need to be here right now, so if you wouldn't mind. Yeah, varnishing this is going to be really quick and easy, so that's not going to take me very long tomorrow. Much time. Yeah. I was just thinking, do I have time to do some of it today? No, I shouldn't. Realistically, I shouldn't. That would be a bad idea. I need to allow myself enough time to pack things away again. And at least tidy up a little bit. I still have to then actually get ready for work, walk to work, because unfortunately I'm important, so I have the keys to the site. So if I'm not there, there is a chance that no one gets in. Especially on a weekend. In fairness, I also need to sand down those like shorter edges before I varnish anything, so I suppose I can try and do that when I get in from work today. Then I don't know what time I'm going to get back. Because there's the chance it's going to be a rough one. Saturdays are the only days, historically, that I can stay later because I don't do the gym on Sundays. So I usually will then take that opportunity to make some hours up and stay and help. It depends how long it looks like it's going to run for, because I'm not staying stupid late, because that's the trouble, is that if I'm going to get up tomorrow early, then I kind of can't stay late anyway. And that makes things difficult, because if it was a day off tomorrow and I wasn't working, then fine, I'll just start things a little bit later in the day. But if I'm planning to do this again, naturally, I need to leave on time. Otherwise, I'm not going to get enough sleep. And I need to be up early, because I need to have had enough time for my meds to settle, etc. Sort my head out before I get to work. Yeah, I'll have to think on that. Probably not going to be able to stay, to be honest. Probably not. Not if I want to get any of this done. On the plus side, I've then done the minimum 2 coats that I wanted to get done. It just took longer than I thought it would, which is always the case. But as I say, I kind of need to sand those shorter edges when I get in tonight, so that I can just varnish everything tomorrow morning. Because then Monday morning I can, well, hopefully I'll be back in the gym. But Monday night, I've got plans. Then I'm off Tuesday anyway, so it just means that I start up later, which I'm actually not too bothered by. Yeah, I've got session 0 of a new campaign, D&D campaign, from a friendship group that is not my usual D&D crowd. So I need to make a sheet up for a new character. I've made the character themselves, but I need to actually put all the info into Roll20. So I need to try and do that probably this afternoon, as well as sanding these edges. Damn it. This is what I mean by I just don't get the time. So irritating. Okay, that's pretty okay, to be honest. I am pretty okay with that as a thing. So for now, I shall just leave this here, because it's about the sort of time that I should really be packing up and actually starting to get my stuff together for work. But at least that sorted that out. I also need to sort this out. But that's a future me thing. Or isn't at this point, really. All future me stuff. At least I managed to do anything. I really wasn't sure I was going to have enough time at all. So, realistically, this is all profit. Turn the heater off, because that's going to need to cool down before I can put it away anywhere. Now I'll just move it off to one side. Good enough. Good enough. Alright. I am going to have to duck out, but thanks for tagging along to what is realistically nothing. But again, it's better. It's better than not doing the thing. And that's what I got to keep reminding myself. Better than not doing anything. So I will catch you guys tomorrow morning to varnish this, if literally nothing else. But hopefully there will be more than just that. We'll see. We'll see. See how lucky I get. Okay. Right. Thanks for stopping by. And I'll, yeah, catch you on the flip side.